Oh, we're live.
We're live. Hey, everybody, this is Charlie Cradaville.
Carmen Rayo.
We are coming at you from two different parts of the country. I'm here in New Brunswick, New Jersey, and Carmen, you're a new resident of Austin, Texas.
That's true, Charlie, and it's great to be here. Been here about a week so far. The weather is just now becoming agreeable. We were having some floods and stuff like that. Luckily, we're up on a hill, so we won't have to worry about too much of that.
Good, good. But you're happy with your choice to leave New Jersey?
Very happy. I mean, honestly, the dining options alone, Charlie. The dining options alone.
Okay.
Tacos, man, and here they do something I've never had before with the queso. You know, no, you get your queso,
Yeah.
you dip chips in queso. Here, what they do is they take a cup of guacamole, and then they put the queso on the guacamole, and it's like a mix
Wow.
of queso and guacamole. And I mean, add some pico de gallo and maybe some beef. It's a party.
Wow, man. Well, good for you. I'm very happy for you. It's funny because we were on The Daily Show, one of the most famous comedy shows ever, because of Austin, Texas, in what was it, October?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's you didn't know it at the time, but your fate would have you move
Yeah.
to Austin, Texas.
Funny how the world works. I really hadn't thought about Austin, Texas. Didn't know much about it, and it's sort of funny how it worked out. And here I am. But it's great.
You're convinced you've made the right move. You feel it's just a better society out there, right?
Yeah, I feel like it might be a better society. I mean, I've only been here a very short time, but it feels right. I mean, for me, I'm from Ocean County, so it's just sort of, it's a lot of retirees down there.
Sure.
It's just sort of refreshing to be going places where everybody's sort of my age, and
It's a very young city.
young city, lot of positive energy, and they bill itself as the live music capital of the world, and I understand why. I mean, there's just pretty much any bar at any given time of the day, there's live music.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, I'm very happy for you. I'm stuck here in New Jersey still, and loving it, and I'll keep you up to date on that. But we're gonna try to do this hangout live on YouTube every week, right?
Yeah, let's shoot for once a week. That'd be great.
All right. Well,
We'll
we
be
have to figure out how to do it first.
the relationship between New Jersey and Texas. It's important.
It is now. But we got to figure out how to do all these fancy features we have in the Hangout. So, like, I can draw on my face here. Do you see that?
Oh yeah, that's good.
Right? Now that's permanently on my face.
Okay.
That's good. It's the pencil with the mustache, and you can put like funny hats on yourself and all kinds of stuff. So like, I could have like a feather behind my ear. I want something.
Okay, maybe I could find a. Let's see.
Yeah, find something you like,
I'm
Carmen.
looking for a cowboy hat, but I can't. Okay, there we go. That's something.
Okay, I could have.
Close to a cowboy hat here. I like the pirate.
There we go.
Yeah, that's good.
Now, if I need to go to sleep, I can just. You won't even notice.
Right.
Cool, man. But yeah, so we'll mess around with this nice hat. That is nice.
Yeah, thank you. I might just wear it.
Yeah.
It'll get smaller as I go back.
Oh wow, we got a big lightning bolt too. This is good. But so it's amazing what technology does, and it's amazing we can still communicate like this and have a show, even though we're probably, how far away is New Jersey from Texas?
I'd say, well, I think we're in Austin. From Austin to like Ocean County, I think it was something like 1,700 miles.
Wow.
I X'd out of this thing, so I'm stuck with this headpiece until I go back into there. It's a learning curve with this.
Yeah, we'll get there.
But yeah, it was about a 1,700-mile drive, and we took two separate cars, and it took us about 3 days.
Not bad at all.
3 9-hour driving days. It was like 2,700 miles.
Wow.
I'm sorry, 27 hours of driving.
7 hours. So, but doing it in 3 days, that's still not bad. That's good.
Yeah, not bad. Okay, here we go. How do I get out of the head here? All right, there we go. All right.
All right. So, We got a lot to talk about today. I was just on TV last week. Chasing News is a kind of a fun show that they do. That's kind of like the news. They cover a lot of news, and they invited me on to talk about this crazy story we have on NewBrunswickToday.com about a EMS worker, a young guy driving his private car, 150 miles an hour on Route 18. Normally you'd say that's not a big story, but the dude videotaped himself doing it, videotaped the odometer, so you can see that he's driving that fast, posted it to Facebook, to a BMW enthusiasts group, and then when some of the people in that group said, hey, don't do that, by the way, you're an EMT, you could lose your job for doing this, you shouldn't be doing that, I wouldn't want you to be rescuing my relatives. Then he defended it and said, it's not that big a deal, don't worry guys, I had my PD buddy block off the entrance to the highway, so it was really like it was a private road. And then, of course, you shouldn't say stuff like that, whether it's true or not, because now it's being investigated by Internal Affairs, and it's the biggest story we had last week. It's picked up by a lot of other outlets, and now it's on TV. So I want to show you the video of me on TV here. I haven't figured out how to use it just yet, but yeah, okay, here we can pull up any YouTube video we want. This is great software here, and we're both using our Chromebooks, we should mention, too. Carmen, you actually got a Chromebook for free, right? Google just liked you so much?
Yeah, I think a few years ago, probably 5 years ago now, this was before this was really, I think, before Chrome S was really out there. I don't even know if, Android phones were even out yet. They were just kind of testing the OS, and they sent, I think it was something like 50,000 Chromebooks out to select people. It was essentially whoever signed up.
Right, and you didn't ask for it. You weren't even told you were going to get it. You just got a box from.
No, I think I signed up to to be like I don't know, maybe to give feedback or something. I don't know exactly how I got it, but they were giving these out, and I got one. And
that was great. I remember that day. That was very special. And we thought maybe it was because you were pushing to get Google Fiber here in New Brunswick. We thought maybe they liked your campaign so much. Maybe that was it.
Well, if anything, I think when I got that, it made me even more of a Google enthusiast because they just gave me a free Chromebook, and this was, like I said, before it really even hit the market. And here it is.
Right.
I actually have the other one right here. You can see it's kind of like a crude.
Nice. Yeah, that was back before it was cool.
Yeah.
So anyway, here's my segment on Chasing New Jersey, or it used to be called Chasing New Jersey. Now it's Chasing.
Okay, yeah. Is it playing?
You seeing this, Carm?
No, I'm not seeing it, and during the time I think you were playing, and I couldn't hear anything either. Maybe the sound's just cutting out.
Well, let me see. Oh, maybe you need to hit the YouTube app as well. I don't know.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm doing that now. Let's see
Okay. See if it works.
Okay, wait.
We were doing so good.
Yeah. Well, it's bound to happen. It was our first one.
I know, right?
Oh, I think. Okay, now it's working.
Oh, you see it now?
I see it now. It was my fault. All right.
Okay. So anyway, here's. Yeah, you like the NewBrunswickToday.com tag there, right? That's all over the place. Bad hair day. This woman is insane. What's the big deal? So that was that. The funny thing was they loved that story so much they made it their top story that night on the show. So it was they really gave it a lot of time and attention, and
Right.
I thought it was interesting to say the least. The thing that really gets me is that the Rutgers public relations people are doing such a disservice because they literally refuse to acknowledge whether the guy even works for them or not. They won't even tell you, does he, any other situation. We hear it all the time with police officers with misconduct.
Right.
When something happens, the powers that be have to say either he works for us or he doesn't, or he's suspended with pay or without. And you have to...
They don't even acknowledge it.
Rutgers is the only government agency I've ever worked with that now, a brand new thing is they're refusing to tell you who works for them. Even if they're cops or EMTs.
Is that can't even be? Well, it's not right, but is it even legal?
It's a waste. It's a waste of taxpayer resources because I can find out through the Open Public Records Act, but that's going to take me 7 days. They have a whole staff, a whole bureaucracy of just PR people who should be helping me and just giving me these answers to help make the story less bad.
Right.
To explain themselves, and they are taking an attitude that is absurd. And the funny thing is, as recently as a year and a half ago, they were telling people when coaches are suspended. We of course remember Mike Rice, the famous Rutgers coach for abusing his players. They said, oh, he's suspended without pay.
Right.
So being an athletics coach is important enough that Rutgers will tell you whether the person works for them or not, or whether they're suspended. But being a police officer or an EMT, we don't have to tell you. And it's just ridiculous. I mean, even the athletes on the team, the students who are not even paid, the coach will say, he's suspended, he did something wrong and he's suspended while we investigate. They will not even say word one about this guy. They won't even say whether he ever worked for the school. So it's just an embarrassment, and these people need to learn a lesson.
Yeah, nothing surprises me anymore with these guys.
I know. You went to Rutgers. You know how it is.
Yeah, I did. It was a good time, though. I mean, I did enjoy my time at Rutgers. And Charlie, what is it that you always say about going to school at Rutgers?
Oh, yeah. It prepares you better for the real world than perhaps any other university in the country because they treat you like a number, and you have to fight for yourself.
Right. Deal with the bureaucracy.
Yeah, it's a huge bureaucracy and a huge mess. But I'm happy for you, man. You're in a college town. You're near UT Austin, right?
Yeah, exactly. And Austin just also happens to be the capital of Texas, so there'll be a lot of political stuff to get into here.
Yeah.
The bureaucracy is one of the reasons that I was really sort of turned off by Jersey, and who knows, maybe I come back one day. You never know. But in Texas they do things a little bit differently. The state government meets only once every 2 years.
Right.
So they have their legislative session, and then they recess.
Sounds like a great job. Maybe you could represent your district there.
Yeah, I think it's much more of a part-time thing here, but maybe not. I really don't know. I'm still trying to I'm still learning a lot about it.
Well, we should talk about the biggest issue in the country this week. Of course, the
Right.
horrible atrocity in Charleston, the basically an assassination of a state senator. A lot of people aren't reporting that one of these 9 people was a state senator, and you know, eight good souls who were just trying to study the Bible. It's interesting to me. It sparked this whole debate that's about this Confederate flag being outside of the State House in South Carolina. You're in the South. It wasn't part of the Confederacy, but do you see a lot of Confederate flags down there in Texas?
No, not really. And first of all, yeah, absolutely tragic, and my heart goes out to the families of all the victims. But you know, in Texas I haven't really seen a whole lot of Confederate flags, and it's interesting too, because this comes on the heel, or this comes, I think, I don't know if it happened the day after or what, but the Supreme Court just issued a ruling that had to deal with Confederate flags in Texas. Are you familiar with this, Charlie?
No, I didn't know. What's the ruling?
There was a group of people in Texas that wanted to get the Confederate flag on the license plate in Texas, and
oh yeah.
The Texas DMV basically said no, and then the people cried foul. It was First Amendment, and they took it up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said it was something along the lines of government speech not being the same as individual speech, and license plate, they said, would constitute some form of government speech.
Yeah, I mean, you can't force the government to put a flag on
right.
a plate. That seems a little.
It seemed like the right decision to me. I think what was interesting, I think the decision was like 5-4 though. So
oh wow.
I mean, it's always like, so you know, and I think it was right down the line too.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just such a tragic reminder, this shooting, that, you know, racism is still a huge problem in the country. We've been hearing about it with the police killings, but now this is outright terrorism, and the fact that you know, a lot of people in the mass media and in the white power structure are kind of trying to make excuses or just kind of not equate it with terrorism the same way they would if it was you know, a Muslim who had gone into that church, or you know, if it were the other way around and a person of color killing white people.
100, absolutely right, Charlie, and I think you're spot on with that. And you know, I think the FBI director came out and said something about how, you know, it wasn't terrorism, and he gave some
I saw that. What the heck? I mean, they have a definition. It's very clear, and this fits it.
Right. I think part of it might have to do with, if they called this terrorism, I think it kind of shows how ineffective a lot of these like sort of programs they're doing, how ineffective they really are at stopping completely you know, senseless terroristic acts of violence such as this.
Right. They claim to have it all under control because you know.
Right.
It's all outsiders.
What's the point? If you're going to be reading all our emails, following all our internet traffic. This kid was all over the internet posting all. Where were the red flags? Oh well, you know, it's not terrorism, so we can't catch it. I don't know. Yeah,
no, it's very, very suspect. You know, the upshot is that it seems like they're probably going to end up taking this flag down outside South Carolina State House, and I think you know, I think that's a good thing. It's just like 150 years too late. You know, it's like really.
So from what I read, I think that the flag had gone up again in 1962.
Okay.
Ostensibly because it was the centennial of the start of the Civil War, but really it seems like it might have been as a sort of rebuke to
civil rights. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was gross, but yeah, I know they fought about it about 20 years ago, and
the thing is too, I was looking into the Confederate flag a little bit, and the Confederate flag, there's all this, you know, there wasn't really a set Confederate flag, and
right.
The sort of stars and bars that people sort of refer to this as isn't even the stars and bars that it really referred to during the Civil War.
This is the battle flag, right? This is
yeah, I think this was the battle flag. I think it was General Lee's flag of Virginia. I think it had something to do with Robert E. Lee. But you know, there was what they did. There was this same image on like other flags. It was in the corner, but it wasn't. It didn't look exactly like this. In any case, I think symbols change over time,
sure.
And you know, maybe what once was a rebel flag, became embraced by certain groups that use it for racism and use it for hatred. Just just the way its symbols are always sort of
right.
used like that. But so I really, I mean, I don't live in South Carolina. I haven't spent much time there.
Well, I tell you, Charleston is a beautiful place, very historic. I've only been there once or twice, but I do have family there, and I know that unlike New Brunswick, they did a great job of preserving a tremendous amount of historic architecture. So when you go there, it's very very enlightening to be there, and I really feel for the people there because this is a horrible tragedy, and they just went through the police killing that happened like 2 months ago, right? The one that was all over the place.
Right.
So our hearts go out to the people in Charleston. I do want to, before we wrap up, let's talk about the 2016 presidential election. I think this is going to be fascinating. I know, like, just on the Confederate flag issue, I know Hillary Clinton's going to have a tough time of, pretending to be really progressive on this because her and her husband kind of took the other side 20 years ago when this
so you saw some of these images, I'm guessing.
Clinton Gore even had pins with the Confederate flag on it in '92.
Yeah, I saw them. They're on eBay. You can get them.
Yeah, so I think Hillary Clinton is doing a good job of identifying issues that progressives want her to talk about, but I don't think she has a prayer of sounding credible on them because she's been a centrist for ever since anybody's known her. She's been very much a centrist, and I don't know. She's still the front runner, but she's got a lot of people gunning for her. What do you think? What's your prediction?
Yeah, I mean, she's obviously the front runner. I don't want her to win the nomination for the Democratic nomination, but it's really, I guess it really is all about money and name recognition. I mean, a lot of people don't even know who Bernie Sanders is.
That's true. That's true.
And I think truthfully, I think a lot of people want to vote for Hillary just because she's a woman. And I think that the people are yearning for a woman president. I think that will be a motivating factor for some.
Well, yeah, I mean, we should have been having women presidents from the beginning because just knowing the men I know, women.
I agree with you, Charlie. And I've said it before too. I think with the state of the world, I mean, we may be even better off with women in charge, women running things. But don't vote for them just because you want a woman. Vote for her because she's the right person.
Right. And yeah, I mean, Hillary Clinton did have a lot of influence when her husband was in the White House, and people have very different memories of those years. Some people really thought they were the best of times, and other people thought it was horrible. But yeah, I just am really going to be pissed if there's Clinton Bush again. I feel like that's a bad thing for our country if we've got another election where people in the same family are running against each other. It's like not good for democracy.
Yeah, it certainly is, and well, I don't know. My politics have changed dramatically since I was a student at Rutgers. This election, I'm a Rand Paul supporter, so I'm standing with Rand.
Really? You're supporting Rand?
I'm a Rand Paul supporter. Yep. And we can over the course of the weeks we can get into the ideology and stuff like that. But basically I just don't feel that the government is going to give us any of these answers. And really, I think about what is the biggest threat to my life, liberty, and property, and really it's my government.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the biggest threat to me. And I think that when that really sinks in, I think it changes your worldview. Yeah,
certainly. I mean, with all the police issues, that's just the tip of the iceberg. And you're talking about the military and the NSA and the CIA doing domestic stuff. Even looking. I mean, there's not even like one specific count of all the government agencies. Like the federal government is just so large. I mean, you can go on. I think Wikipedia has like a pretty good count. But you can't get a count from the government because different agencies have different counts. Right.
So it's kind of, come on, like what are we dealing with when there's something that big? And so this is the other thing too about I think at one our government's just gotten so big, our federal government. And at one time, I think people really identified with their individual states as sort of sovereign states. And I think over the years, we've sort of gotten away from that, and it's sort of we just identify with the U.S. But I think it would be a good thing if people started to really appreciate states' rights, because it would be an appropriate, maybe the only real counterbalance to an overwhelmingly large federal government.
Yeah, well, I think it's interesting to focus on the issues where the states do have power to change things up. So, like a big issue here in New Jersey is, for instance, undocumented people having the right, the privilege to drive legally. And in New Brunswick, you cannot help but notice an overwhelming amount of Maryland license plates, because New Jersey does not offer undocumented the right to drive, but I guess Maryland does. So a lot of people are getting Maryland licenses and registering their cars in Maryland, and it's a free country. You can go wherever you want. So if different states have different policies, it'll be interesting to see how that affects.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I was just last night watching something on Vice about an anti-immigration policy in Alabama.
Oh, yeah.
About maybe 2011-ish. They passed a really harsh anti-immigration law that essentially basically almost criminalized. Police had to actively, seek out anybody who looked like an immigrant, anybody who was brown, and actually anybody who was harboring or helping undocumented. So wow. It was like extreme. There was really nothing like it. And what's happened is there's such a shortage of labor now in Alabama for farming.
Because they've made it so hard for.
They've made it so hard, and also there's a recurring theme that people seem to forget, is that people that live in this country don't want to do this work, and I've seen this too in upstate New York with dairy farms, where if the undocumented workers just simply work harder when they're dealing with stuff like this, they're doing the dirty work. But don't get me wrong, Americans would do this work, but they just want more money for it. So the margins are perhaps thin for farmers, and they do what any business owner would do. They're going to get their labor for as cheap as they can get it, and undocumented. So I understand, and this is sort of what spurs the need for legislation in the first place. But the fact remains that Americans really just don't want to do this type of farmhand work for what the going rate is.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right, and it's not. I don't want to make a comparison that's not fair, but it has similarities to the slavery in the American South, where there's a whole group of people who are being exploited because they don't have the same rights that the power structure has, and so we're in a situation where people are taking advantage of that, and the undocumented are not enjoying the same rights as us. And citizenship's a complicated issue, but certainly there's a pattern here of exploitation, and it's kind of sad that some people are so against these immigrants that they actually hurt their own states by putting in these types of things that
yeah. And I think one economist in Alabama, I think he's at the University of Alabama, he estimated the damage at around $11 billion.
Yep.
That yeah. $11 billion, and you see it, and Vice documents it with images of just empty stores and just businesses gone and houses empty, and it's incredibly destructive. And again, these are laws, and so my sort of libertarian worldviews that are leading me to guys like Rand Paul would also be obviously against legislation like this, because
it's like the Gestapo. They're telling people, get out of here, and don't help these people either. So it's really really counterproductive.
Yeah, and yeah, absolutely, I agree.
All right. Well, this has been fun. We'll do it again next week.
Yeah, great.
Anything else you want to say?
No, it was a nice chatting, and keep up the great work, and I'll see you in about a week.
All right, man. Sounds good. I'm just gonna put a few of these on here first.
Perfect, dude.
There we go.
Nice.
Oh, I'm gonna wear a crown too. All right, man. Well, good luck to you in Texas. Let's do this again real soon, and let's keep up the fight.
All right, Charlie. Take care.
All right, Carm. Have a good one.
Okay.